So I'd like to talk about the history of predators in the United Kingdom and the role they probably played. I'm here with Tom Lord, an archaeologist and a curator of an astonishing collection of bones from caves in Yorkshire. So Tom, tell us about the predators that are found in these caves.
Well, from the early cave excavations, we have got examples of the three species that make up the predator guild. The one here is Lynx, and at present this is possibly the one we know least about, but there's lots of ongoing work. Here we've got wolf. Wolf is a social carnivore and will hunt in packs or solitary. It's quite flexible. Lynx, of course, is a solitary hunter. So we've got different behaviours, lynx and wolf. And then the biggest of the guild is brown bear. This is a splendid skull of a brown bear from a cave on the Scar. And we get brown bear bones in caves where they had died over winter during hibernation. So we get these splendid fossils like this. Now, when we look, we can see that the brown bear is an omnivore. It's got these big grinding molars here. So it's both a carnivore and an omnivore. It's both eating meat and things like berries. And when we look at the chemistry of the bone, we can reconstruct its diet. And these big brown bears are mostly vegetarian.
So this is a fabulous collection. Can we go and have a look at where these were found?
We can.
So it's great to see those predators that you have. And as I understand it, this is where they come from. This should really be a sort of blue plaque for predator communities. So tell us what we're seeing here.
Well, this is an amazing site for the guild of predators living in Britain during the Holocene, because from the caves in the limestone cliffs here, there are records of brown bear, wolf and lynx, all within a very small area, but within a very complex geology and topography. So we've got the limestone here butting up against younger sandstones at a lower level, and looking that way down the Ribble Valley, we've got the broad floodplain, which today we can see areas of flooded water. So this is a landscape where the topography is very varied and the geology is very varied. So we're seeing here diversity within a landscape that might be something that is encouraging predators to use this as a base.
So I guess what you're saying is that there's probably a diversity of habitats. There's diversity of places you could hunt, from sort of perhaps wetland grassland to denser woodlands, and there's probably a diversity of prey species. And that makes a very interesting combination for the
one would
predator
think
guild.
so. Now, it's long been known that there are records of this predator guild from the caves here, but until recently we didn't have a handle on their chronology. And with radiocarbon dating, we're beginning now to see the beginnings of a chronology of the individual species within this guild. And what seems to be the case is that these individual species don't all follow the same trend.
So how do they differ?
Well, brown bears, for example, are present during the early Holocene. Then there seems to be a long time gap with no evidence of them in the mid-Holocene. That's the Neolithic and the Bronze Age.
So the Holocene is since the last ice age?
Since the last ice age, this present temperate event, which begins about 11,500 years ago. We've got bears at the beginning, but not the middle. But in the early medieval period, up pops a bear record from a cave here.
That's astonishing. So what happened there?
Brown bear is the latest dated brown bear from anywhere in Britain, and it's from a cave on the Scar here. Now, what explains this missing event? We don't know. Did bears actually disappear, and were they reintroduced? One idea is bears may have been reintroduced during the Roman period, but we simply don't know. However,
that's an astonishing thought.
Well,
yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. And what about the wolves and the lynx?
Well, when we look at wolf, we've got to be very careful to separate what we think is a wolf bone from a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And there are guides, there are ways of doing this, which seems to be reliable up to a point. Not totally, but reliable up to a point. And when we look at the wolf record, like the bear record, we see evidence of wolf in the early Holocene into the middle Holocene, and then once we go through into the later Holocene, into the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, and later, we can't find wolf bones. We can't find wolf bones. So is this a case of the wolf disappearing? We don't know, but again, ancient DNA studies will help explain this, hopefully, because are the wolves simply hybridising with domestic dogs? But what were these creatures in medieval times that people called wolves?
Yeah.
Because we don't seem to find bones that we can identify as wolves. So perhaps this is a puzzle that ancient DNA studies can help resolve.
So I guess whether or not there's mythology, whether or not they're escaped dogs, whether or not it's hybrids, whether or not they're actually wolves.
Exactly. But there's something out there that they don't like in the medieval period that is causing anxiety.
It's fascinating, and to think, the biggest predator we have now is the badger. To think of what that landscape must have been like, and the ecological consequences of having this guild of predators must presumably have had enormous impacts on the species and the behaviour of species and the consequences on the vegetation.
Certainly this guild of apex predators, the brown bears, the wolves and the lynx, which we haven't mentioned yet, would suppress the mesocarnivores, the foxes and the badgers. And once the apex predators disappear at the top, then we start to see, I think, in the case more evidence of foxes and badgers. They start to come into their own more as the top predators disappear.
Absolutely fascinating, and it's amazing that you retain this collection in order that all of this work is possible and all this collaboration is possible.
These bones were mostly found during early excavations in the 20th century by local amateur groups. At the time, they didn't really attract much interest, and for a long time, they didn't attract interest from specialists. Now, with new techniques, especially radiocarbon dating, but ways of looking at the chemistry of the bone to look at diet, we can see what the bears were eating, for example, and more exciting, the ancient DNA work. These are now seen to be very important scientific evidence, and perhaps from this small area, a unique assemblage of this Holocene apex predator guild, telling us something about its history, which is something very rare, and we don't have it from other parts of Britain.
Absolutely fascinating. Thank you.